In this episode of AnimeCons.com podcast, Elizabeth sets your expectations for anime conventions. We tell you how to go to cons on the cheap. Patrick makes waiting in line a little easier, plus news and upcoming conventions. I'm Sketch, and this is AnimeCons.com podcast for March 2009. This episode of AnimeCons.com podcast is sponsored by DreamHost. Anime Expo and Intermixi Japan Tours announced the pre-registration grand prize getaway to Japan. All pre-registered attendees who register prior to June 15, 2009 will be automatically entered. Winners will be announced at Anime Expo's opening ceremonies on July 2nd. One pre-registered attendee will win an all-expense-paid trip courtesy of Intermixi Japan Tours. Anime Expo 2009 will be held on July 2nd through the 5th at Los Angeles Convention Center in Los Angeles, California. SakuraCon in Seattle, Washington has announced its final round of guests: Japanese voice actor Sasaki Nozomu, Japanese graphic artist Yashitashi Abe, manga creator, artist, director, and mechanical designer Kiyoki Ohata, mecha designer Hideo Okamoto, musical guest Myoji, author and lecturer Roland Keltz, Arthur Greg Dean, and Penny Arcade's Gabe and Tycho. SakuraCon takes place April 10th through the 12th in Seattle, Washington. San Japan in San Antonio, Texas has announced the first round of guests for its August 2009 convention. Attending the convention will be voice actors Travis William, Laura Bailey, Chris Patton, Wendy Powell, Clarine Harp, Troy Baker, Carrie Savage, Chris Ayers, and Josh Greel. Video game remix group Overclocked Remix, Capcom hip-hop artist Mega Ran, and the anime remix DJ Katsuhiko Janai. San Japan will be the weekend of August 14th through the 16th at San Antonio Municipal Auditorium and the El Tropicano River Rock Hotel. MetroCon in Tampa, Florida has announced a number of guests for its 7th annual convention scheduled for the weekend of July 19th through the 21st, 2009 at the Tampa Convention Center in downtown Tampa. Scheduled to appear are the band Abney Park, voice actor Greg Ayers, Ilyich Guardiola, Mark Hildreth, Scott McNeil, Kirby Morrow, Doug Smith, comic artist David Stanworth, and producer David Williams. Middle Tennessee Anime Convention has announced more guests for the convention: voice actors Colleen O'Shaughnessy and Jeff Nimoy, illustrator James L. Berry, manga creator Jian Mo Liang, webcomic Sam Romero, and author Steve Horton. MTAC runs from the 3rd to the 5th at Sheraton Music City, Nashville, in Tennessee. JamCon in Chattanooga, Tennessee has been postponed until 2010. Andrea Morgan, president of JamCon, posted an announcement on their website which cites the economy as a primary reason for the postponement. Next year's convention has been scheduled for May 21st through the 23rd, 2010 in Chattanooga. MatsuriCon in Columbus, Ohio has announced 2 rounds of guests. The first is voice actors Kyle Hebert and Trevor Duvall, Kevin McKeever from Robotech.com, and webcomic artist No Need for Bushido. The second is voice actors Caitlin Glass and Juliet Zarrell, as well as author Steve Horton. MatsuriCon will be held from August 28th through the 30th at the Holiday Inn in Worthington. Otakon in Baltimore, Maryland has announced their first guest, voice actress Mary Elizabeth McGlynn. Otakon 2009 will be held July 17th through the 19th at the Baltimore Convention Center. On Sunday, April 5th, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, ZenkaiCon will be sponsoring a variety of activities as part of Sakura Sunday. Sakura Sunday is a spring celebration of Japanese arts and culture and the main event of 2009 Subaru Cherry Blossom Festival, hosted by the Japanese American Society of Greater Philadelphia. As part of this festival, the staff of ZenkaiCon will be running anime screenings, video game tournaments, and a cosplay contest. ZenkaiCon has also announced that the author C.J. Henderson will be a guest at their convention, which will be November 7th through the 9th at the Radisson Valley Forge Hotel in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. Anime Boston has announced that musical group Calafina with composer Yuki Kajura, as well as voice actor Veronica Taylor, will be guests at Anime Boston 2009. The convention also announced they have contracted with registration company Expo Logic to handle their registration on site, as well as an expanded location with an increase of 400% in the number of registration stations. Anime Boston will be held May 22nd through the 24th at the Heinz Convention Center in Boston, Massachusetts. Icon in Winnipeg, Manitoba has announced guests for their convention: voice actors Stephanie Shea and Caitlin Glass, and industry producer Jan Scott Fraser. Icon will be held July 24th through the 26th at the Winnipeg Convention Center. So You've never been to an anime convention before and you don't really know what's going on there. Well, we'll tell you what to expect at an anime convention. With me is Elizabeth.
Thanks, Sketch. Anime conventions are pretty unique events. A lot of interesting stuff going on that most people will not get. But here's the pretty much what you're going to expect when you go to an anime convention. The first place you're going to go is registration, because you need your badge to be able to go to the con and check it out. Check out the convention's website beforehand to find out where you need to go and what hours they're open. If the convention is smart, they'll have well-placed signs to point you in the right direction. Here you'll get your badge that you need to check out everything else at the convention. You'll need to wear your badge at all times. Main Events is the biggest room that the convention has available because it has the events with the biggest crowds. These include opening ceremonies, where the convention staff welcomes everyone to the convention and introduces guests, anime music video contest, the Masquerade, a cosplay contest focusing on craftsmanship and presentation of costumes displayed on stage, and closing ceremonies, where the staff makes remarks about the convention and gives information about next year. There may also be other events and main events during the weekends, and they vary from convention to convention.
Like Kaiju Big Battle!
Or Anime Unscripted. There'll be panels, workshops, and screenings in the smaller rooms in the convention center or the hotel, depending on where the convention is. There will be different panels scheduled on a wide variety of topics on anime and manga, video games, cosplay, and Japanese culture and history.
I personally recommend the cosplay plops, flutes, and how not to make a robot.
Large conventions also have panels run by companies in the anime and manga industry. Sometimes they make pretty big announcements about new licenses and cast lists.
And free stuff. A lot of them give free stuff at those.
There are also workshops where you can learn things such as how to make a plushie, new sewing skills, and art techniques. Sometimes those cost money, so be sure to check that out before you go. There are also video rooms where you can watch anime shows, both old and new. Those aren't for sleeping, by the way. Most conventions invite guests, including voice actors, directors, artists, and musicians, mostly from the United States, but many larger conventions have Japanese guests. Guests often have panels where you can ask them questions, autograph sessions, and participate in other convention events such as game shows, like Anime Unscripted.
Just drop that one more time.
It's one of my favorites.
He's right there.
Many conventions will have events such as a karaoke room, game shows, and dances. The convention will have certain rooms set up for specific purchases. A dealer's room where vendors will sell DVDs, manga, and various anime merchandise. An artist alley where artists, such as Sketch, will display their art and other creations for people to purchase and order commissioned pieces. A video game room with various games and consoles with tournaments going on throughout the weekend. A manga room where you can sit and read volumes of the convention has available. And tabletop and card games where you can sit and play against others. The general environment is hard to explain. It's definitely a geek haven. There are people in the standard nerd dress of t-shirts and jeans, plus lots of people in costume. You don't need to wear a costume to attend the convention, but it's always fun to try. The overall mood is fun and excited, with people seeing old friends and making new ones. There's a lot of geek speak and internet... It died. There we go. And internet memes being thrown around.
I lost the game!
People will be glomping each other, hopefully with permission, offering free hugs, waiting in line for events, and taking pictures of cosplayers in the hallways.
Interjecting, glomping is forceful contact hugging.
Ask before you do it, and don't get mad when people say no.
And don't get mad if it hurts.
Be prepared to expect the unexpected. You may see someone dressed as Jesus leading a conga line of cosplayers.
I love that guy.
You may see a Hello Kitty version of Darth Vader.
Don't like that guy.
Observers near the hotel or convention center may ask you what the hell is going on.
We call those norms.
Your best resource is the convention's website and their forums. Good conventions will have all the information you need about the events and activities going on. Oh. If you have further questions, check out their forums to see if there is a topic about it already. If not, start a new one. Search first. Don't start something that already exists.
We're all knocking your bedroom door.
That's scary. This is a general overview of what to expect at a convention. In upcoming podcasts, we will go in depth into several of these components that make up a convention. If there's a specific part of a con you really want us to cover, email your suggestions to podcast@animecons.com or post on our forums at animecons.com.
In these tough economic times, it's hard to go to conventions, and you always have to be watching the wallet and the penny and everything like that. So we're going to go over ways to go to a con on the cheap. With me is Elizabeth and Patrick. So what's the first thing that we can suggest for people to watch their wallets going to conventions?
Well, I think primarily they should pick a convention near them, because generally speaking, a convention near where they live is going to be cheaper to get to, and just cheaper all around usually. And Elizabeth already covered how to find a convention near you in our first episode back in January.
Yeah, go check that out.
Yeah.
You really need a badge to attend the convention. You can't just walk around and kick you out. So, to get your badge, register early. That's when the cheapest rate will be. It'll go up before the pre-reg time ends, and then it'll be even more at the door. So make sure you pre-reg early.
Yeah.
Plus, you'll be in a shorter line, usually.
A good thing about pre-registering, it gives money to the con to make sure they're still operating by the time the con comes around.
That's one good thing. Also, see, if you can't afford to go to the whole convention, you can always just go for one day, and the single day passes are cheaper than a whole weekend pass.
And if you have a bunch of friends, if you're in an anime club, you can also try for a group rate. And it's usually a group of 10 or more, and maybe get $5 off each, and every little bit counts.
Even if you just, if you're on the younger side of the convention going age, and you have parents, have the parents do the group rate. Save them some money too. So next is, when you're at a convention, there's always the downtime in between days, which means you're at a hotel. So good ways to go about hotels is going through the website, and most cons have a special rate for either the hotel they're in or next to. Anything else?
Yeah, the convention signs a contract with the hotel to be able to get a really good rate. Sometimes it's really, really good. It's not an anime convention I'm going to this summer, but they got this ridiculous rate at this hotel in Arizona that's $100 a night, and it's usually $200 or $300 a night. And I know some other conventions it can be significantly cheaper, a couple $100 a night cheaper. So you definitely want to book with the convention's hotel. It's also helps the convention itself because they set aside a certain amount of rooms, and it's something they need to.
Well, yeah, basically the convention signs a contract with the hotel for a certain amount of rooms. No matter what, the hotel is getting the money for those rooms, and that's done to the convention. So if the convention can fill that, then the convention's happy. Like PAC.
And also, you may want to research other hotels in the area, especially if the convention hotel is full. You can check websites like hotels.com and try to find a good rate.
Yeah, also, if you have AAA or someone in your room has AAA, use that. When Patrick and I went to Anime Next last year, we kind of decided late to go, a couple months beforehand, and all the hotels were booked. But there was another hotel, right in the same area, and their AAA rate was the same price as all the other hotels in the area, so it worked out really well for us.
Yeah.
And we had free breakfast.
And in addition to AAA, a lot of hotels have frequent guest programs, and if that doesn't get you a better rate, it may get you some other benefits. And to save money, room with other people. Share the cost. And a good way to make sure that your friends actually pay you and pay you up front is to hold the room key and give it to them after they give you their share of the hotel bill.
You want in, you give me money.
That way they won't spend it all in the dealer's room.
Oh, I forgot. Don't mind me, I'm bitter.
Well, speaking of dealer's room.
Dealer's room.
Yeah. Set a budget first.
Yeah.
Yes, because dealer's prices can vary. You can walk around an entire dealer room and find the same item at multiple places, and they'll all be a different price. If you have the time for that, definitely, bargain hunt. But other than that, there's certain things that are not in print anymore that some dealers have, like certain DVD box sets, and those are going to run you about $150 or more. So, definitely you'd set yourself a budget and just be like, all right, do I really need this? Could I get this at another convention? Even local anime shops might even have it. Keep that in mind, not to steal money from the dealers, but set yourself a budget.
Make a list, too, of things you're looking for, kind of like when you're going to the grocery store. And also so you don't end up with volumes of manga you already have, like I did before. Whoops.
Yeah.
Hard trapping in so many.
It's always bad when you get to the third copy. Oh, whoops, sorry.
And also, when you're at the convention, you'll have to eat at some point. So
Please eat.
yeah, please
Don't
eat.
pass out.
Yeah, otherwise you pass out, and that's not good. So you've got several options to save money with food, and you could bring your own food. That's of course one option. You can eat in the room, make sandwiches.
Yeah, the only thing is not every hotel will provide a microwave or a fridge or either or one or the other. So you're going to have to be creative with that, because also you don't want to bring a hot plate and burn down a hotel, because no one will like you after that.
And you might get in trouble if you get caught, too.
Yeah.
It's usually not allowed because it's kind of a fire hazard in a small enclosed space like that. But some people have used coffee makers to cook ramen.
And you know, it's only 3 days out of your life. I'm sure you can survive on ramen. You might not want to, but
Some sandwiches.
sandwiches,
Yeah,
yeah.
better
jelly,
You can bring a cooler, keep stuff reasonably fresh.
You get the ice right in the hotel.
Try to do that first thing.
One thing I like to do is before I go, again, I use Google Maps, which is awesome, and I search the area for restaurants, and then you can find out what's in the area and try and find their menus online and see what's cheap and what's expensive, because you don't want to be like, oh, this place looks cool, and the entrees start at $20 each, and you're like, well, I'd rather spend that money in the dealer's room.
Yeah, I had a friend who just casually walked by a sushi bar, which is a general place most people go after an anime convention. And they're like, oh, yeah, the sushi's very cheap. Yeah, they were talking about the price for, like, ordering one set of California rolls. We were sitting there and we're like, oh, wow, water's $2. Uh-oh.
Yeah. But definitely remember to eat. And
And
water.
drink.
yeah, drink water.
Water.
And so also getting to the convention, I mean, if you have one that's close to you, you can carpool with friends or take public transit.
For the cosplayers, I do recommend maybe wearing half of it or wearing something over it. It's very awkward when you're trying to travel through the subways of a major city dressed as Vash the Stampede.
One good thing to remember is for money, go to an ATM beforehand, because there might not be your bank there, and those fees can really add up.
And also, in any ATM of the small ones where you pay the little fee there in the hotels or the convention center will most likely run out of money halfway through the first day.
But I think the biggest money-saving tip that we can give is if you're looking to get to a convention and spend very little money, at least in terms of hotel or badge and other things like that, staff the convention or volunteer. You usually get some benefits such as free admission in return.
So yes, you're sacrificing some of your times and possibly going to certain events,
Yeah, staff comes first.
but you don't pay for anything.
Yeah.
Most cons actually offer even food, give you food.
Some offer hotels, too.
Yeah.
And parties afterwards. They're
Yeah.
pretty fun. So
And
those-
so those are our tips.
Those are our tips, yep.
Before we get to the Q&A, we want to tell you about our sponsor for this month's episode, DreamHost. DreamHost is currently offering new subscribers unlimited bandwidth, unlimited disk space, plus 50 gigabytes for backups, unlimited email accounts, unlimited SQL databases, one free lifetime domain registration, and more, all for as low as $5.95 per month. Enter code ANIME1 when you sign up and get a second free lifetime domain registration. Some restrictions apply. See site for details at dreamhost.com.
Our question this month comes from a viewer who asks, do you have any long line survival tips? Here to offer his suggestions is AnimeCons.com founder Patrick Delahanty. Patrick?
Thanks, Sketch. Now, when you're at a convention, you're going to run into lines at some point. And there's basically two kinds of lines. Either a moving line, like you'd find in registration or the dealer's room,
Okay.
or the bathroom, where you move a little bit and wait, move a little bit more and wait. Or a stationary line, where you're just sitting there until an event starts, and then you're done.
Masquerade is the biggest one.
Yeah, masquerade, opening ceremony, something like that. And so what you can do in these lines kind of depends on, are you going to be there for a while, or do you have to keep moving? Now, there's several things you can do to occupy your time. What? Yeah, sketches. Yeah, all right. Now, there's a bunch of things you can do to occupy your time. One of the basic ones, if you've got nothing else, you can always make friends with people next to you.
Hi, I'm Sketch.
Hi, I'm Patrick.
Nice to meet you.
Let's be best friends. You can also read the program guide or schedule. So when you get to the convention, they'll give you a copy of the program guide, and it's a great way to just kill time, just reading articles, read about some events. You may find something interesting you didn't know about. If you've been to the dealer's room, you may have a volume of manga with you, and it's a great way to kill time. Or maybe you brought one that you've been looking forward to reading. You can play cosplay bingo.
Cosplay bingo?
Yes, that's from AnimeCons.com.
Ah.
Yeah. And you can also play a handheld game, whether you're a DS or PSP user. DSs are very popular at AnimeCons thanks to PictoChat.
Ah, PictoChat.
Yes, especially during events. People like to send messages to other people in the same events.
Yeah, I heard they're not all that nice.
Another option is to kill the battery in your cell phone with games, internet, or Twitter. I'm
Twitter.
at an event. Yay. You could also do a hobby, so you might want to draw. Somebody else could...
Drawing? What are you talking about?
Or if you're a writer, you can write. Or if you knit, you can do that. Whatever your hobby is.
Basket weaving?
Basket weaving, if
All
that's what
right.
you want to do in line, sure. Another thing, if you're in a stationary line that's not moving for a while, you could get out your laptop, go online, do whatever you want to do. But I wouldn't recommend bringing a laptop to a convention just to wait in line because it's heavy and you certainly don't want to get it stolen. You don't want to forget it somewhere. So that's only if...
I'm sure there's plenty of security people out there going, oh God, how many times we lost laptops and people complaining about it. So.
Only if you have to, but it is an option. So another idea, if you're waiting for a panel, you can go to the panel ahead of it. So why not listen in on another panel while you're waiting for yours to start? But before you do that, make sure that the staff isn't going to clear the panel room. Because you don't want to get in there and discover, oh, we're clearing the room, so everybody out, and then you find out there's a line outside the room.
And
you're
you're
not
the
at
last line,
you're
and
not
then
the
when you
last
get there, then you might be, oh, capacity cap, sorry.
Yeah, so you make sure they don't clear the room before you get there. And but if you are sitting on a panel before the one that you wanted to see, please be polite, be courteous. Don't sit there talking to your friends. Try to pay attention, and you may find out you enjoy it. So remember, some important things to remember are read the convention's rules for the lines, especially for autographs. There's usually a set limit of number of autographs you can get. And
no picture taking with
yeah,
them,
so and the rules are usually printed somewhere in the program guide, so it's a good thing to check out. Some conventions have ticketing systems for events, especially the larger conventions.
with the masquerade. And they have 40,000 coming, but they only can fit 20,000 in the...
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this is their way of determining how many can get in, and it actually helps avoid the lines at the event and having to turn away thousands of people. So what you want to do is you should know the event you want to see, how they're going to handle that, if it's going to be tickets or not. And know when to line up. If it's a popular event and it's a very small room, there's going to be a line.
Yeah, I mean, even certain masquerades, people line up 4 hours in advance, and that's early compared to other cons. It's a big waiting thing, especially like like Dragon Con I went to, where they had a whole line system of, they put all the guests in one giant room, and then you had to go into individual lines and walk around. Again, it's all a matter of how much you really want to be there.
Yep, and then it may be in a room with ample seating, in which case, even though the event's popular, there's still plenty of space. You can take your time getting there.
Yeah.
And for smaller events, there's usually no lines, no waiting. So fortunately, you can just walk right in and enjoy it.
Like my panels.
Oh, they're not that bad.
Okay.
And so those are just some ideas. But one thing I want to mention is the dealer's room. I see people lining up for this all the time.
Yeah.
Why? Really,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah.
The line is usually just as it opens, usually on Friday of the convention, the first day. And within an hour, usually, the line is gone. And it's not like the dealer's room is sold out.
Yeah.
Maybe there's 1 or 2 special items, but what are the odds you'd see them anyway? So my general recommendation is don't wait in the dealer's room line. Just come back later and there won't be a line.
Yeah, oftentimes I see people waiting there and they're like wrapping around hallways and everything like that.
Yeah.
Dealer's room's open, 5 minutes, everyone's in.
Yeah, and they could be off doing other things
Yeah.
instead of waiting in that line.
Like going to my panels.
I've been to over 50 conventions and still don't understand why there's a dealer's room line. Yeah.
If you have a
and
question
good-
you'd like us to answer in the podcast, send it to podcast@animecons.com.
If we select your question next month, you will win this prize. We've got the Chibi Project DVD Volume 1, Salty Ray Volume 1, and Yukikaze.
And you were
Volume
complaining
1.
about my Japanese reading.
Whatever, it's
Anyway.
2-disc sets, so however
But
you pronounce
you could
it.
get a prize.
Yeah, so if we select your question, podcast@animecons.com, this could be your prize package, so send them on in. Thanks.
Attending the convention will be voice actors Travis Willingham, Laura Bailey, Chris General Patton, Centray,
Room with various games and consoles with tournaments going on throughout the evening. Hopefully they're well ventilated. And a manga room where you can sit and read.
Thunk. Test, testies.